Welcome back to SwitchCorner. My name is Alex and today we're going to be taking a look at new Pokémon Snap on the Nintendo Switch, the long-awaited follow-up to the N64 classic. Does it do the name justice and is it worth your cash? Well, hit subscribe if you love the Switch, as much as we all do here. Join our growing family and let's get started. So first story, and this one finds you taking on the role of a character you get to name as well as choose their look. Now opening the game, you'll find a selection of 8 appearances to choose from. No customizables at all here though, and it's into the story you go as you meet one Professor Mirror and his assistant Rita. They are researching Pokemon in their natural habitats in the Lental region. The idea here though, just learn more about them and their ecosystem while uncovering the mystery of glowing Pokemon and a few other goings on in the region. It's simple enough stuff, but Pokemon fans will absolutely love it as the game gives you kind of detailed information on each Pokemon that you find. It breaks down the region and generally actually adds a decent little background to each of the characters involved. Grab your camera though, as you are lead photographer here as part of this team. So gameplay in Pokémon Snap is essentially a first-person shooter on rails, just without, all the death and destruction. Instead, you point your camera, you hit that trigger and it snaps a photo or two of the huge amount of Pokemon on offer, and it seems there's well over 200 here. Controls, they couldn't be more simple though. The core controls, in fact, are just left trigger zooms, the A button snaps the photo, and then the left stick moves the focal point, while the right just moves the entire camera. Now for the most part, I've got to say I just moved the entire camera, honestly, as it was just that little bit easier to control, as I wouldn't say here the controls are perfect, a little bit almost clunky and slow, but it's also far from an issue given the simplistic nature of the game. As you progress then, you can expect some additional controls to come into play, like throwing a fruit to attract certain Pokemon, or the ability to play music to gain some attention. The only disappointment for me, new Pokémon Snap also includes motion controls with sensitivity adjustments, but it's on at all times. I would have preferred the option here to only use motion when zoomed in, because that's kind of when I tend to use it, I lean into motion controls for micro adjustments. My go-to control scheme though, it ended up being using the joysticks in combination with the D-pad. The D-pad, it allows instant rotation by 90 or 180 degrees, and you'll need to get this down because towards the end game obviously Pokemon are coming on faster and faster. Outside of that though, the gameplay really is that simple. You sit through these on-rail segments, you have 72 photos you can take and you snap the world around you. It's as chilled and relaxed as it sounds, and that's exactly what I was looking for. With these runs then as well, of course, they can vary in length as well, dependent on the location you are in. And I gotta say there's a fair few on offer, a lot more than I expected, because I will say now, a much longer game than the original. That original took 4 or 5 hours maybe. This took me around 7 to 8 just to unlock all the locations, with a huge amount of gameplay still to go if I wanted to see and do everything. So once you've completed one of these runs, it's back to Professor Mirror you go. He will judge and rate your photos and add them to your Photodex. That's the only goal here really, just build out that Photodex. But from each run you can only choose one photo of each Pokemon, either manually or you can hit that minus button and let the game pre-select for you. Each Pokemon though, it requires 4 levels, that's 1 through 4 stars. These additionally have bronze through gold colours as well, so if you want to get all shots to 100%, it's going to take some serious time. Alone I took around 2,000 photos and I was not even close to completing the Photodex. Once photos are judged, you then get a couple of options. First, you'll choose if you want to save any of these photos personally. These can then be uploaded online for the world to judge, as well as you can do what's called reshoot them, so basically edit them. In this mode, you can move the angle of the camera, the zoom as well. You can adjust brightness, blur, focus size, focal point, or even add some basic filters. So here, think silhouettes. It's not overly deep, but it does more than enough, and you can make a surprisingly big difference. Once saved here though, just know you cannot come back to this option to reshoot. The only edits you can make from here on out are more Instagram-like, so filters, add stickers and frames. And then look, there's still a whole lot more to the game as well, because not only do you get a daytime run for each of these locations, but each run actually gives you XP. This is level specific, meaning with each new level, new things within that stage will occur. New Pokemon could appear. Maybe it's going to be like a new location, a new route to follow. It just taps into that mentality of kind of just one more go, because I need to see if there's something new, if something changed. Likewise then, most stages they also have some sort of alternative run as well, which changes things up even further. The only thing I will say with this approach, this XP system, is you can get pretty burnt out on it. You know, the game's repetitive as it is, and with each new stage being locked behind some sort of points, well, yeah, the repetition just kind of kicks in and you're kind of just going through the motions of each level over and over again. The one thing I wish they had done was maybe had a few variations of where Pokemon could be. I think that could have been very cool and also kind of, you know, avoided some of that fatigue. But I also do get it. The idea here is to almost memorize these locations just so you can go out there and get that perfect shot. Unfortunately though, every time you do a run, the Pokemon, they will be in the exact same locations. Overall though, like for gameplay, new Pokémon Snap impresses. It's much longer than I expected. It has tons of reasons to keep you coming back. It gives us ways to share our snaps online with the world, and the story was a surprisingly entertaining ride to just back up the gameplay. Now sure, the controls are not perfect and it can get a little bit slow with its progression in the latter half of the game, but honestly, look, Pokemon fans, you will not care. This is an impressive follow-up to what is now a classic. So graphics and stunning, the world is beautiful. Every single stage, from lush jungles to volcanoes to underwater, it's amazing what power they've pulled out of the Switch, and the extra flexibility then of editing the photos that you do take. It shows an impressive games engine behind it. It balances this kind of thin line between new though and then also paying tribute to the original. You know, there's visual nods all over the place, but it never takes that too far. It never feels too much like the original. Seeing these Pokemon up close and personal as well is an absolute pleasure too, as rarely do we get that sort of opportunity. The few minor cutscenes then as well, really stunning stuff. I did not go in expecting the kind of level of animation on offer here, and it impresses while bringing this world even further to life. The only issues, conversational moments, they're not bad at all, but it's the usual kind of standing still with dialogue boxes. They feel a little uninspired compared to the cutscenes, and then just occasionally a texture here and there will be, you know, noticeably blurred, and there can be some heavy pixelation as well, particularly on shadows. Overall though, look, for graphics, great stuff, and I had to really dig for these complaints. Audio finally, and I love it. Not a huge amount to cover here, but some effects for, you know, the snap of the camera, throwing fruit, colliding with Pokemon, and then the locations. Each Pokemon comes with its own individual sound. And yeah, there's some also like environmental effects in here as well. I will say as well then, sound is a big factor with this game, and it's used to give hints to the player, like maybe you hear a crash around you. Did a Pokemon fall and appear? You're gonna have to swing your camera around and find out. It's a really cool system. Wrapping up the package then, some typically light-hearted music and some great voice acting. Every cutscene, you know, the full-on like animated ones feature full voice acting, or the simple dialogue moments, they are text boxes you will need to read. So overall, I've got to say, going into this, I was excited if a little unsure about new Pokemon Snap, and I'm happy to say, fans of the original, you'll be more than happy here with the experience. It takes that original idea and just builds upon it in nearly every way, with just so much more content and so many more excuses now for replayability. Now sure, it does get repetitive, no question about it, but put it down for a few hours, you'll be more than happy to return again. Graphically then, stunning, and the audio just tops it off with a simple but effective design. I do wish it had a little more freedom in the controls at points, especially for the motion, and I do think a little more guidance on where I needed to go next would have been a nice touch. It's kind of got this habit, the game, of throwing you in, letting you fail a couple of times and giving you a hint. Just kind of give me that hint to begin with, just to avoid again on fatigue. Otherwise though, look, a great 8 out of 10 from me, and hopefully we don't need to wait now another 20 plus years to see the next entry. Will you be adding this one to the library though? This for me is now a new go-to for those moments when I just want to, you know, relax, but I'm curious who is excited to jump in. With that, a shout out then to the patrons of the channel who are just going above and beyond to support SwitchCorner. It helps more than you know, so thank you all so much. If you do want to check that out for yourself, I have linked it in the video description down below. Then hit subscribe if you love the Switch. As much as we will do here, join our growing family, and I'll see you all on the next video. Thanks everyone.